What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video. We finally got some trade news surrounding the New England Patriots. As we all know, the trade deadline is very much approaching here. We talked about this on my live the other day. You can check that out, my last video. It's about an hour long, answered all of your questions. A lot of you asked about the trade deadline. Of course, that is November 3rd, and not much has been said around the New England Patriots, but we finally have our first rumor involving the Pats with the trade deadline, which again is November 3rd. So by the title, you can tell that we are talking about Golden Tate and Evan Engram. The New England Patriots are rumored to be interested in both of these guys. They have already made calls to the Giants about both of these guys, a potential trade. Now, I do need to mention, Patriots are not the only guys interested in Golden Tate or Evan Engram. The Saints are a team that has called. There are also a few others. I heard the Chicago Bears potentially in the mix, along with a couple others that we do not know the names currently of. So right now, guys, make sure you slap the like button on this video. It would mean a lot to me. Make sure you guys also watch this video through. We're going to be talking about both guys specifically. We're going to start off with Golden Tate, then get into Evan Engram. Talk about, is this a deal that is likely to happen? Why is Bill Belichick looking into these guys specifically? What do their contracts look like? And what type of compensation would New England have to give up? And you know what? I said that we were going to start with Golden Tate, but let's start out with Evan Engram because I'm way too excited to talk about him. I think when a lot of Patriots fans think of Golden Tate or Evan Engram, what's the guy that I think most people are going to want? It's most likely Evan Engram. Patriots need help at tight end. I think they need more help at tight end than they do at wide receiver. They only have a few catches to a tight end. That tight end has been the same tight end in Ryan Izzo. As for all the other guys, Dalton Keene, Devin Asiasi, they have not gotten any looks. They've gotten no passes thrown their ways. Dalton Keene hasn't even been activated for a game. I think having a tight end for Cam Newton to have a guy who can get off the line, play in the middle of the street, play in the middle of the field, be a downfield threat, a big body for him to work with, I think they could be super beneficial. I mean, you look back to his time with Carolina, having a guy like Greg Olsen, it was super beneficial for him. And then when you look at the statistics of when Greg Olsen was there versus when Greg Olsen wasn't there, it was a very big difference. When there is a useful tight end on the roster, the game day roster, and on the field, Cam Newton performs a whole lot better than when there isn't. Now, Evan Engram is definitely a guy who has a lot of talent surrounding him. He has definitely had his ups and downs, but at the same time, those ups and downs have come with the Giants, who are a franchise that over the past few years has definitely just had a whole lot of downs. Now, he was the guy that was drafted in the first round, pick 23 overall back in the 2017 NFL draft, so still fairly new to the NFL, still fairly young, has a lot of time to develop, definitely not in his prime yet. The big thing that Ingram would be adding here to New England is that big athletic freak. That is what New England needs. Sitting at 26 years old, like I mentioned, has a lot of time still ahead of him, and his 11.2 yards per reception would add a new element to this New England Patriots offense. Like I mentioned, he's a downfield threat. I just don't think you hear about it enough, because he's with the Giants, a team that over the past few years has dealt with a lot of downs. I can't even say ups. It's really just been downs. They've even gone through several coaches. I would definitely say one of the biggest things that is holding Evan Engram back, except the fact that he's with the Giants, is his inability to stay healthy. Now, over the last 3 seasons, he has missed a total of 23 games, and that is a lot. But of course, Bill Belichick, the New England Patriots, they've never cared about an injury-prone guy. I mean, they've always brought in those types of guys. They've had Gronk, who was getting injured almost every single season, so I don't think that's much of a worry for them. But it does seem that so far this season, he has been able to stay healthy, knock on wood. But no matter if he was able to stay healthy, he wasn't able to stay healthy. When he was able to get on the field, the Giants were never, ever utilizing him the correct way. In 6 games with 5 starts, he reeled in just 20 catches for 177 yards. And to add to that just a little bit, he has yet to eclipse the 65-yard threshold this season and has managed fewer than 36 yards in a total of 5 games. Now, contract-wise, I would definitely say that it's pretty friendly, at least this season it is. So he's expected to become a free agent in 2022, essentially meaning that the New England Patriots will have him for the rest of 2020 and they'll have him for 2021. So for 2020, he's expected to make a base salary of around $1.9 million with a cap hit of around $3 million. In 2021, that takes a pretty drastic raise to about $6 million. Yeah, $6 million. And let me tell you, from what we've seen so far, he's not worth it there. Now, the contract that he's played so far, again, that $1.9 million in 2020, in 2019 was $1.4, $900,000 2018, 2017 $400,000. That's definitely friendly for what you're getting with him. So even if the Patriots use him as a rental for this year, they decide to see what they get and ultimately see, look, do they want to cut him? Do they want to trade him in 2021? That's definitely not something that I would argue. I do wish that number from $6 million was definitely down for 2021. I don't think he is worth $6 million. But again, coming to the New England Patriots system with Cam Newton, we would just have to see how things would potentially change. Now, of course, the downfall of him here is 1, the lack of consistency. 2, his inability to stay healthy. 3, he is not a blocking tight end. He is definitely a receiving tight end, a downfield threat. He is not a multi-tier tight end who you have blocking. He's able to block. He's able to receive. He's really just that one-dimensional receiving tight end. And of course, the big thing that's probably going to throw a lot of people off is the fact that he fumbled at a big third down conversion the other day, actually, against the Giants. I believe it was on Thursday when they were playing the Eagles, ultimately made the Giants lose that game. But everything else, especially the speed that he would bring within the middle of the field, off the line of scrimmage, I think would just be an exceptional addition. Is he my first option for a trade at the tight end position? Definitely not. He's not my number one solution for the Patriots to solve their tight end issues, but it's better than what we have now, 100%. Now, guys, real quick, as we already know, the wait for football is finally over because the NFL is back. Now, you might not be able to be at a game this year, but you can still get in with all of the action at BetOnline. Now, BetOnline is going that extra mile to make sure that you get in on everything imaginable for this upcoming season, all the way from game spreads and totals to team, player, and coaching props. BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any place online. Now, you can get in on their season opening bonuses today and start off wagering on win, division, and championship futures today. All you got to do is head to BetOnline right now and take advantage of all of their great sign-up bonuses. Again, that is BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Now, because he does have 2 years left on that contract, because he is still one of the better tight ends in the league, I would say anywhere from a third or fourth. A fifth might be pushing it. I'd be surprised if it's anything later. Anything before a third or a fourth, I am not willing to give up. I even think a third might be slightly pushing it. I would be willing to give up around a 4th round pick for Ingram. Now, of course, the other aspect in this is wide receiver Golden Tate. So for those of you who wanted a tight end, those of you who wanted a receiver, looks like the Patriots are looking into both. Now, I will start off by saying, look, Golden Tate is not my first option. I think the thing with Golden Tate is that he comes in. How much of a difference does Golden Tate truly make? I think he could definitely make a slight one. I wouldn't say it's a huge one. He 100% is not a number one wide receiver. And I think that's my big thing here is that if the Patriots want to take that real big leap forward offensively, they need a number one wide receiver. OBJ, Julio Jones, someone within that covet of a top tier elite wide receiver. And Golden Tate just is not that guy. Now, of course, that is not to say that he can't make an impact, and definitely at the least what he would do is take some pressure off of these other wide receivers and would give us some good depth for some of these guys, of course, being banged up. The 32-year-old is your classic Bill Belichick receiver. Belichick has wanted this guy for years now. I mean, let's remember that a few years ago, right before he got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, it was around right this time a couple of years ago, right at the trade deadline, the Patriots were in on Golden Tate for a potential trade, ends up going to the Eagles. It was on a one-year deal, though. He only had 1 year left on his contract. At the end of that, we're hearing that, the Patriots aren't interested in signing him in free agency. It was between the Patriots and the Steelers. Then miraculously, he goes ahead and surprisingly signs with the Giants. And the interesting part there, too, is that Golden Tate was very interested in signing with the New England Patriots also. So there has been mutual interest for a very long time now. Of course, sitting at 32, he will bring that veteran presence that Bill Belichick, of course, 100% loves. The New England Patriots are extremely young at the wide receiver position, which I don't think is helping their issues whatsoever. So, although I don't like how old he is, at the same time, I think we could use a veteran. I can't say like Golden Tate because I would like a more top tier veteran, but at the same time, a veteran is a veteran. He knows what he's doing in the NFL by now. And while he doesn't have, let's say, the athletic ability he did a few years ago, he 100% does have some juice left. Just like Julian Edelman, this guy is extremely tough, which I think Bill Belichick would love to add to the receiver position, of course. And he's a guy who is a yards after catch machine. And again, I think that is something why a few years ago, Bill Belichick looking at the trade deadline for Golden Tate, Belichick looking to sign him in free agency. That is why he wanted him, because he's a guy that you can just have a short dump off, 5 yards, 3 yards, and because he's able to make so many guys miss, he can turn that 3 to 5 yard catch into 15 to 20 yard play. The other great thing about Golden Tate too is his ability to have versatility. He's proven so many times that he can play in the middle, he can play in the slot, he can play in the slot of the field, or he can play on the outside of the field also. The New England Patriots could use help at both places. Again, I think if he comes, it takes some attention away from other receivers, but you can also move other receivers around the field also. Although he's 32, I definitely think that Tate does have some good years left in him, especially because he's the type of receiver that fits this New England Patriots system, and I feel like the type of receiver that we have seen in a Danny Amendola, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, those receivers have always seemed to last a little bit longer than receivers who are speedsters, more down-the-field threats, guys who take these bigger hits. So I definitely think he has a few more years left in him, but speaking of Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, he'll provide an aspect of the type of player like they are. He's not going to come in, he's not going to be a Damiere Byrd, he's not going to be N'Keal Harry, he's going to be a Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman type player. Now, as for the cap situation, he's another guy that has about 2 years left remaining on his contract. Love that. I love when the Patriots trade for guys who have multi-years left on their contract. It's not just a rental for the rest of the season. But the money is a little bit high, especially the guy who is producing at the rate he is and at the age he is. So he has roughly $11 million and $8 million in 2021 and 2022. And of course, again, that is arguably a bit high. In his first year with the Giants in 2019, Golden Tate appeared in 11 games in which he started 10 with 85 targets with 49 receptions for 676 yards, averaging 13.8 yards per reception, along with 6 touchdowns and a long reception of 64 yards. So far this season, he has appeared in 6 games, 26 targets, 20 receptions, 195 yards, 9.8 yards per reception, and 1 touchdown. Obviously, not putting up the type of statistics he has when he was, let's say, with the Detroit Lions or even the Seattle Seahawks when he was putting up over 1,000-yard seasons. Now, because of the fact that he's not putting up great statistics, at least nothing crazy, he is up there in age, he has 2 years left on that contract, and it is worth, again, $11 million and then $8 million for those next 2 years. It doesn't bode well for the Giants. Because of that, I don't expect this to be a high draft pick at all. Nothing even close to Evan Engram. When I've heard people talking about this, I've heard potentially a 6th to 7th round pick. And while the Patriots have to take on that money, a 6th to 7th round pick definitely is not bad, especially if the Patriots are able to cut their odds if it doesn't work out, or even maybe trade him. The thing to remember with both of these trades is that the New England Patriots are very familiar with the head coach of the New York Giants, and Joe Judge, of course. They took him from the Patriots, a former Patriots special teams coach who became the head coach of the Giants just this offseason. So that could really bode well for the Patriots here too. That could help them in making this trade go through because they do have that relationship already. But that's going to be it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on Evan Engram, Golden Tate, Bill Belichick calling Joe Judge in a potential trade for both of these players, possibly a package? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.